Welcome! Who are you?
I'm a ghost.
That's Tim as.
Tim the Ghost?
Hi, I'm Shawna. I'm not gonna make any ghost jokes.
Weeb.
This is a train wreck. What a train wreck.
No, it's great. Continue forward.
And I'm your host for today. I forgot what I was gonna say as.
No, you gotta be something like the spiritual detective or the what are they called again? What the espers
I think
or
I
the
was
psychic?
the number one Esper as. You can call me Reagan.
Raisin. As I live and breathe. This is already a nightmare.
I didn't even
I'm
think
sorry.
about this joke. That joke works for Regan as well as Raisin.
My apologies. That is a New Girl joke where there's also a Reagan character.
Don't worry, New Girl is an anime of human proportions.
We should review that next.
No. We're talking about Mob Psycho 100 by the maker. You might know him as One. He also made One Punch Man.
Oh, this is so much better.
Shawna, how could you say that?
This is so much better than One Punch Man, oh my goodness.
To briefly describe this show, I would like to throw it to Weeb.
Oh my.
No,
oh
don't
my.
give it to him, no.
I didn't come prepared.
I want to know his Weebopsis, and then I'll give you an actual summary of the show.
Okay, so here it is. We live in the same dimension as the second Ghostbusters because it's trash, just like the second Ghostbusters. And some kid is just busting all the ghosts. And it's really boring, and I'd much rather watch One Punch Man any day of the week. And Shawna's wrong and dumb and smells bad.
And Weeb is wrong. And very dumb. And the boat doesn't even like him.
By the way, we're gonna get into spoilers later. You know the rigmarole. If you're listening to this the first time,
We're sorry.
Listen to all the others.
We're very sorry.
I'm not sorry. This is my first time using a new mic, so I'm gonna sound weird and different, and I'm probably gonna hate it.
You sound great to be as.
That's good. That's one person.
You always sound great to me, as when you whisper sweet nothings into my ear late at night. Those are my favorite times.
Okay. Back on track.
I'll give the summary. It's about a kid who has special powers in a world where people don't really know there are special powers, but everyone who knows he has special powers doesn't really react very strongly, which is funny. And he ends up going to this guy who is a self-proclaimed psychic when he's a kid, like younger. And he says, yo, I have special powers. And the psychic ends up hiring him, and they work together, helping people with exorcisms and stuff. It's not creepy. It's a fun thing anyway. And yeah, it's a good time. I liked it. Yeah,
But is this man an actual psychic?
No, he's a con man, and it's hilarious.
See, I asked it, but I knew the answer. I asked for the viewers. You like how I did that?
Oh yeah, thank you.
This isn't a kids program. We don't need them to
I like
react.
Weeb's interaction like this. Please continue to speak for the viewers.
How did everyone like the show in a non-spoiler way, please?
No, non-spoilers. I like the show. I went into it with high expectations because everybody and their mother has hyped this show up to, like, insane levels. And I came out of it thinking it's not as good as everyone says, but it's still a good time.
I went in with everybody having hyped it up, expecting nothing, because I hated the art. And I really did enjoy it. I liked the little differences that it has to the other things in the genre, and you can kind of see where it's poking fun of the genre in like a really funny way. And it feels really fresh, and I like all the characterization, and it's just a good time.
So much of the time, I sit and I stare at the wall and nothing goes through my head whatsoever for many hours on end. And this show really
That's
helps
called you watching TikTok.
Yes, but this show really helps you get into that mode of just, your brain just shuts off and just nothing really happens and you just kind of stare.
I don't think you watched the same show.
I think what Weeb is talking about is the more slice of life aspect to the show.
And it has a slow start. I didn't like it for like a good 3 or 4 episodes. It is a slow start for sure.
None of the characters are likable.
I like them all. I just think that it's very like case of the week for the first little bit, and I don't like that format. So as soon as it starts to get into who Mob is and like his dynamic with his brother and like who Reagan is and sort of the overarching different kind of plots, that's when I get into it. The first handful of this episodes of the season are very much introductory, kind of like gag episodes that are just kind of showing them doing their cases, and I'm like, don't care. So it takes me a while, but then I'm in it.
Hey, Az, what did you think of the show?
I said I loved the show.
Oh, I didn't know if you said it or not. I thought we skipped over you. Never mind. I don't care what you think.
So, I'm guessing Weeb does not recommend this show. What about
I
everyone
do.
else?
No, you don't. You've said nothing but horrid things.
I said it's a good show to sit and turn your brain off and stare. And I do that all the time. So...
Whenever I end up releasing anything that's important to me that is creative content, please do not review it.
You know what? Review it so I can punch you in the face later.
I might. I'll review it.
We'll review it as a group. Anyway, moving on.
Tim, do you recommend it?
I do, but I wouldn't recommend it as highly as other people, I guess. I think there's better shonens.
I think it's especially good if you're familiar with the shonen genre, you're familiar with anime. Then when you watch this, you see how fresh it is and you understand exactly why it's good in the nuance. If you're not as versed in anime, I think there's other stuff that you would appreciate more. And that's not even like being a snob. It's just that a lot of the really great things that stand out about this show is how fresh it is in the genre. So if you don't know the genre, then you just can't appreciate those little nuances, I think.
And like a lot of the subversion and gags that happens is very based around those sort of tropes.
I love Reagan's special moves. And the narrator comes on and it's like, this is another one of Reagan's special moves. And it's like he's kneeing somebody in the stomach.
This is one of Reagan's special moves, Salt Splash, where he splashes around salt.
Reagan is a big part of why I like the show. He definitely holds it up.
He's a good man.
Should we get into spoilers? Because I have specifics to say.
Did we ask Weeb if he recommends... Oh, he did. Yeah, we did. Never mind. I recommend the show. We'll... Spoiler time!
You didn't ask me if I recommend it, did you?
No one cares what you think,
Aren't you like one of the first people we asked?
I have no memory of this. Let's move on.
We need a synopsis.
Wait, hold on. I gotta yell at the people who don't want spoilers. Run away now!
Run away now.
Okay.
Season 1, there's not that much more. You're just getting to know who Mob is. He's a middle schooler. He has super strong powers, but he's a very, like, laid-back, mellow guy, and his master, who is Reagan, the con man who runs a psychic agency that helps people with, like, various things, spiritual things, or things they think are spiritual, has, like, helped him kind of come up with a code, and the key thing in the code is don't use your powers against people. So the whole show from beginning to end is really people saying, Mob, you need to like use your powers to advance yourself, or use your powers to save this person, or use your powers to defend yourself, or use your powers to defend that person and hurt another person. And every single instance, Mob is having to kind of confront the idea of like, wait, what's okay for me to do? And you see him sort of start to really think about it and to develop his own code outside of what Reagan has just kind of given him. So he becomes a lot more independent, and it's sort of, I don't think he ever explicitly says that he knows that Reagan is a con man. He doesn't actually have any spiritual powers. I think he knows, right?
Yeah, he's at the end of that episode with Reagan, like, getting humiliated on TV and stuff.
Yeah, he says he knows that he's a good guy.
I've always known.
Yeah. But that could kind of be retconning too, because there are so many instances in the first season where, like, he clearly doesn't know. Like, he thinks that Reagan is gonna, like, save something or do something. And if he didn't think that, he would have done it himself. So I'm not sure about that.
I think it's less of a, he knows 100%, and more of like a...
Well, what he knows is that Reagan is genuine in his intent.
Well, he says he's not like quite the same kind of a psychic as Mob is, right? He's like a spiritual kind of
he
guy.
says he's spiritual, and Mob has like other powers, Esper powers. So that's how he kind of justifies not being able to do certain things or see certain things. But didn't it go back at the beginning of season 2? Because Reagan got the ability to see the spirits, and then all of a sudden in a couple episodes after that, he didn't have the ability again. And then it hops forward and he can see Dimple again, who is the spirit. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, can you see them or can't you?
I don't remember. When does he not see them in season 2?
The family.
Yeah, like there's all these little tiny instances that they use almost for gags that he can't see them, but it like it's like a plot hole because it's like, well, he's supposed to be able to see them now. Like, I don't understand that.
I think you can only see certain types. That's a good point, though, yeah. To continue, the synopsis. Basically, yeah. So it's a lot of Mob sort of discovering himself. There's an evil organization at one point, threatens to topple the whole world order.
Yeah, it's not really important. It's just a vehicle for the character development.
It really is.
It's cool to see the development of Mob's powers because he is the definition of an OP character, like overpowered. He can do anything once he thinks of it, almost. But because of his complete lack of desire to improve for ambition's sake, every time he does something new, it's super cool. Because it's like he's doing it because he needs it in this situation, and you totally believe that it's like, oh yeah, he never would have done that before because he never had a reason to. Like, he's developed it now because like he needs to, and it makes sense in the case of his character. And I think that's really clever because it's really hard to write an OP character that isn't annoying to the viewer, just randomly able to develop a new convenient power, you know?
Yeah, what I really like about this compared to One Punch Man is the way One Punch Man writes his stories. It's how do we keep Saitama out of the fight so then he can come in later, while Mob is more, how do we give Mob a reason to fight?
I like that for sure. I think Mob's character is just more interesting than Saitama. I like Saitama a lot, and I like the idea of One Punch Man, but I'm so much more invested in Mob. I love Reagan. I even like Teru, and I like Dimple a lot. So it's got this cast of characters that I'm really interested in. Whereas in One Punch Man, I was just kind of like, eh.
You know what I want to see though?
Explosions.
Yes, I want explosions, but I also want there to be someone that Mob legitimately can't beat, way out of his league, way stronger.
He couldn't beat what's his face at the end.
Okay, 10 million times stronger than him. About to rip the world in half, and I want Saitama to just hop in and punch him and then leave. And then we just act like nothing ever happened.
It's just like a bizarre crossover.
I think Saitama would definitely beat Mob.
Oh, absolutely.
The author has said One Punch Man has infinite power.
Yeah, but they're in the same universe because Reagan got on his phone and his background was Saitama.
Well, One Punch Man is a story in Mob. There's references between the two all the time.
Yeah, in the show, Reagan pulls out his phone, and his background is Saitama. It's the second to last episode. So I was like, yo, they're in the same universe. What if they had a crossover episode? I think that'd be hilarious.
I think they've done crossover stuff.
Well, he's just fiction in Mob's universe, but they could have a thing where, Mob has a dream, or, there's a way to do it, for sure.
Yeah, just like the little, monsters from the internet came to life. You could do the same thing.
All I'm saying is having One Punch and Mob would make it better because One Punch is better than Mob.
I have to. Can I please tell you something? Just real quick.
Yeah, we're listening.
No, you can't.
I need to tell you something. Please forgive me. My apologies. I am really sorry, but I didn't quite, maybe completely, absolutely finish Mob.
I was gonna keep your secret, and here you go outing yourself.
I have to because I am lawful good, and I need people
Wow.
to know that I haven't seen the last 3 episodes.
So you missed the conclusion.
Oh, you missed the big fight.
I'm going to watch it. But like honestly, is there anything that could happen that's gonna like really change what I think about the show? Like I feel like I know what the show is.
Everyone listening, completely disregard Shawna's opinions up to now.
My opinions, they matter, but they just don't know about the
No,
last
they
3
don't.
episodes. I'm sorry. I've been so busy.
I was gonna ask Tim about his opinion because we've been doing a lot of talking, but he's been silently listening.
Well, I don't know. What do you want my opinion about?
What did you like? What did you dislike?
Oh, I did have some things I disliked, and it's kind of different from like what I didn't like of season 1 from what I didn't like of season 2, because I felt like season 1 there wasn't as much of the character development, at least for Mob, and there was more spectacle with the fights, whereas in season 2 I thought that the fights weren't as impressive, like the action wasn't as good, but the character development was much better, especially for Mob and Reagan, so that kind of like balances each other out, I guess.
Yeah, what about the fight where it was like nuts inside the girl that was possessed?
That was good. That was probably the best fight of that season. But I think the best fight from season 1, which I think would be Teru versus Mob, was like probably the best of the whole series so far.
That's the one. Okay, so I watched season 1 like years ago, and I didn't rewatch it for this. Is that the one where the blonde dude?
He makes the guy bald.
That was good. I don't know. I think the last fight of season 2 with the big bad is the best fight out of all of it.
It's a good one.
No, I didn't like it. I thought the choreography wasn't as good.
It was a lot of floating in the air, throwing stuff. Yeah, we know you didn't see it.
Shauna, let's hear your thoughts on that last fight.
I plead the fifth.
Imagine if Shauna hadn't revealed that and she tried to comment on that fight. Like,
Do
as
you know
she
what?
had seen
If
it.
I tried to comment on all of these things, I would be flawless and you would have no clue. I could lie until the cows came home, my
She
friend.
just agree with what we're saying and wouldn't give any of her own opinions, is what she's saying.
I did like that as well.
Yes, quite.
Okay, Tim, did you have anything else you want to say before we all rudely interrupted you?
Oh, one thing that I forgot, and it is a big dislike for me, because I do like story a lot, and I like good writing and plot. Obviously, as I said before, that this doesn't really have good plot. It's just more about Mob and his kind of growth as a character, which I like. But it also would have been nice to have like an interesting plot to go along with it.
Don't you think that it improved upon that in season 2, though? I think it did improve.
I don't, actually, because I thought the stuff with Claw was very weak already, but even in season 2, it's just kind of like, oh, we're just suddenly here. We're dealing with these guys now, and we don't know who they are, like what their motivations are about, besides kind of with the Umbrella Dude, but even like the big boss, it's really unclear like what we should feel about him other than he's just this generic bad guy.
I think the reason I feel like it improved at all is because season 1 was just so episodic. So if there's any overarching like narrative, I'm like, yes, improvement. Even if it's not really particularly strong. But I hope that it will. Is there going to be another season?
I heard there's a little bit more of the manga that they haven't covered yet. It maybe like OVAs, maybe.
Okay, so it'll really never reach a higher level than it is. Okay, it is what it is then.
Let's do my favorite section. What Enneagram types is everyone?
Yeah.
I assume that Mob is a 9. The 9 is the peacemaker. They are really able to see everybody's point of view. They really don't want to upset anybody. I feel like that is closest to what Mob is. Reagan, I don't know.
His desires, he wants to make something of himself.
Yeah. 3s are the achiever. They like work a lot and they are really conscious about their image, and like he wants to be famous, but he doesn't really care like what people think about him.
I think he does care what people think about him.
Oh yeah, totally. I don't mean that he doesn't like care at all. I just mean that it's not like a driving force for him to go and like change.
I love the lower claw guys who think he's like amazing because of that final fight in season 1.
That was so good.
I loved that fight with Reagan and the blind dude. I also like the blind dude. I said I don't like anyone in the show, but I like a couple of them. I like the blind dude.
You like not Sasuke?
That dude and Reagan, when they fought, I thought was hilarious. Because he was so intimidated by Reagan because he couldn't detect him. And then he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I better run away while I still can. This guy's on another level.
I love that about Reagan. I love that he just takes, like, that he never shrinks back because he's not suited for something. He's just like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, he tries every time, and then once he realizes he's outmatched, he's like, oh, I should actually probably run.
Yeah.
Like, and get out of here.
I love that. I love his attitude. And when, like, he was totally down and out, like, the next morning, he's like, I'm going to change myself. It's just like, I just like him.
Yeah, I think he's my favorite. Actually, he's definitely my favorite, yeah.
Would you say, in fact, he is best boy? Because I would say he is best boy.
I would definitely say he's best boy.
Agreed.
He has more of the comedic bits, and I think the way that he surprises people is very endearing, so I think that's why.
And he's really original. Like, we haven't seen someone like him. And I like that a lot.
Like, he's almost, maybe this is an overused term, he's kind of like an anti-hero.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he lies, but he does it from a good place.
He's a good man, but he also will totally cheat you out of your money.
He's literally spent the last how many years just manipulating a child to make money.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad, obviously.
Is he manipulating him, though? Like,
Yes,
really?
he says it, like, right flat out. He's
okay,
like,
but is Mob not better for it?
I'm not saying that that's not the case. I think that their partnership is great, but he really is, at the base level, doing something very wrong.
But think of all the massages he's given.
I love Dimple.
I also like Dimple.
But why do they keep him around?
Because there has to be, like, a cute little, like, mascot type character in those kinds of shows.
From a realistic standpoint, though, why would they keep Dimple around? He's only trying to take over Mob's body.
No, I think he gives up on that, and he does help them a lot in the fights.
The fights become way better when he possesses someone. He knows how to fight.
I think what it is that he does start to, like, care for him, but I literally think it's that he's just such a non-threat that they don't even consider getting rid of him for their own safety.
He's right.
Why is the second season not Mob Psycho 200?
Because he doesn't go 200.
He should.
He goes to question mark. What else do you
He
need?
barely goes to 100% in that second season.
I was just waiting for the question marks to pop up, and then, like, more question marks pop up. Like, he's in the thousands of percents.
That was one of the good things I liked about season 1 is how often you see him reach 100%. Because I was kind of thinking, oh, they're going to, like, tease the whole season, and then by the end he's finally going to hit 100%. But they kept doing it, and I was, like, very impressed with that.
I loved that he got to 100%, like, so early. Like, as soon as we understood what it was, we got to see it. That was super cool.
They made him passive, but they also made him have rage every episode.
He has a better handle on his emotions in season 2.
Don't you guys think that this is such a good title? Mob Psycho 100. How do you come up with that?
His name is Mob. He goes psycho when he hits 100%. I don't think it's...
Yeah, but do you know how hard it is to come up with something like that?
It's much better than One Punch Man.
No, One Punch Man is brilliant, okay?
Yes, thank you, Tim.
As a title?
Yeah, it's so simple, but you get the whole premise from that title.
Well, I'm pretty sure he came up with the title first, and then the gag manga.
There are just a few titles that, like, are very simple and they encapsulate a show. I just don't know how people thought about that for that specific show. It, like, makes sense, but it's just clever.
The greatness of light novels, like, am I really reincarnated as another girl? I didn't want to be a girl. Oh man, I'm a girl.
I hate
and
it.
I'm a demon lord?
I want to know who everyone's best girl is. I have one.
Find me one girl who could be considered best girl.
The girl in the telepathy club is so funny. Like, she's so
She's
crazy.
really funny.
Like, she's just, I don't know. I like her. She's like a real character.
Reporter Girl's not terrible either.
Yeah, she's fine too.
There's just very few characters in the show that do get a lot of screen time and development. I would say it's mostly Mob, Reagan, a little bit of Teru,
His
and then
brother,
that one
a lot.
Risu. Yes, that was a strong point for season 1. Was that whole side plot going on with him?
I love that. Their relationship's so great.
Umbrella Guy got like a ton of screen time.
Yeah, he was like another parallel to Mob. So the guy who possesses the girl is Mob if he decides that he is the strongest being in the world and he just goes on a rampage. Umbrella Guy's Mob if he gets too afraid of his emotions and powers and he just becomes a recluse.
Yeah, Weeb, didn't you watch the last 3 episodes?
You don't even know who Umbrella Guy is. Go back to your corner. Go in your hole.
My little crab cave.
Best ship, but they're Tsubasa and Mob. or
Tsubomi's
whatever.
boring, so I don't care.
She gets one good scene.
She serves her
Reagan
purpose.
and Money. No, Muscle Development Club and Muscles are the best ship.
I love that they take in the delinquent guy.
Also, didn't you love this in the episode where the muscle where Dimple goes into the muscle captain's body and he's like, "You can't beat muscles that have been trained every single day with muscles that are just have powers."
That was my favorite part of the entire show. I loved
I knew
that.
it. 'Cause it's hard work.
Yeah.
For my best ship, it's going to be Mob and Reagan.
Okay, this brings me to the very first ending, which is so adorable and like real. By the way, like they did those. I think it's acrylic paint on glass. Like those are actual pictures they made.
Yeah, those were cool. I did like that.
Yeah. Did you love how it's all black and white about Reagan's day until he meets Mob and then it goes into color?
Yeah.
So
Aw.
sweet.
As I love that you watch these and care. Because, like, I don't care about that as much, and I love hearing your thoughts on them.
The openings were very good.
They're actually incredible. You might have heard me talk about him. Mother's Basement, Jeff, self-proclaimed anime pope. He does it's called What's in an OP. He does like a frame-by-frame almost analysis of this. The Mob Psycho ones are so good. They're chock full of references to the manga. There's stuff in the opening of the anime that references stuff that happens in the manga after the anime came out.
From my perspective, I just liked them because of the creativity with like all the colors and the crazy stuff happening. It captures the show very well and the unique kind of ever-changing art style of it. And then obviously the music was really good.
Oh yeah, the Mob Choir, as they're called.
I actually,
Mob,
I
Mob,
didn't,
what do you want?
I didn't mind the art at all. Like, once I was in the show, I'm like, okay.
So much good art. So much good.
I actually watched the dub, which is insane. It is the first dub that I've watched and, like, enjoyed in years. And, like, it's not flawless. There's still some, like, not great stuff. But there are some moments where the voice work is so good that it adds to the characters as much as I think it would in Japanese. I might watch the rest of it in Japanese, but I was just so happy, like, I just haven't heard that in so long. And that just the tone of the voices sometimes, particularly like one-liners from Reagan or Dimple, would just make the joke work. And it's like, yes, that is voice work. Love it.
I'm curious to try it out now too because I usually don't watch dubs because they usually are terrible. But definitely for the sub for this one, the Japanese voice work is very good across the board. Particularly, I would say Reagan is pretty good.
Also, we didn't really talk about the sound, but there's a lot of cool sound effects in the show.
There are. It's very good. From a production point, it's very solid.
Oh, and the like effects of the psychic powers too. Amazing. So good.
I'm not sure if we really emphasized this, but the comedy is very good. It's like one of the best parts of the show. There's some genuine laugh out loud moments.
It's a comedy first, just like One Punch Man.
It's not just like the dialogue though, it's also just like the visual comedy is very strong. And I think that's something that you get in One Punch Man, but I think they do it much better here.
Particularly Reagan's physicality, like how he whips his arms around and like just all the different ways like that when he just delivers his lines. I think that's makes me laugh sometimes.
Mob, like how he runs, it's like flails about.
I like that he does get better with the Body Improvement Club, even though it's very little progress.
It's like very realistic too.
Yeah, because he's not athletic. Like, he doesn't excel in that, so his special powers are what makes him strong. So then trying to be physically strong, like, he's kind of at the bottom of the barrel, but he's working so hard.
I love how Reagan says it, like, psychic powers are just like being good at running or being strong or good at music and stuff or playing an instrument.
That's what that whole, the fight with Teru was about. Because it's like Teru thinks that's all he is his powers and how strong he is. And Mob shows him, no, there's more to that.
Yeah, out of 10. You know what, let's start with Weeb, because I'm really curious.
I would say season 1, I give a 5. Okay, to be fair, season 1 I watched 3 or 4 years ago. And then season 2 I literally watched today. But I like season 2 better. Probably just because I remember it better. But I would give it like a 6.
I think you're going to get a lot of hate, Weeb.
Bring it on, you cowards.
Does anyone ever take Weeb's rating seriously? I don't think.
I don't.
What about you, Tim?
For me, season 1, I would give an 8. Really like the action in it and like the way he hits that 100 multiple times. It's one of my favorite tropes in Shonen where an OP character just goes all out. However, in season 2, I think I didn't like as much as season 1, even though I did like the better character development in that. I thought the plot was weaker and there wasn't as much cool action, which I missed, so I'm going to give that one a 7.
Shawna?
I'm going to give season 1 an 8. I really appreciated all of the little special nuances and the little gags and the characterization, and I didn't love the beginning, but I think that it really stands up on its own 2 feet and really brings something to the genre. Season 2, I haven't finished, so I'm not going to rate it, but it will probably be either a 7 or an 8. Just depends on how I feel overall at the end of it. But I just think the show in general is like, it's an 8. Like, it's above a good, which is 7. It's like, yes, this is noteworthy. This is pretty good, very good. So it's an 8 for me in general.
I would be surprised if your rating changes, like it gets higher from where you are now, because I don't think the ending does a whole lot for it.
You didn't like how it ended?
No, not really. I felt like they were trying to say some stuff between Mob and the big boss, but you don't really care because you don't care about the big boss. And what they're saying is kind of like things you've already heard before. They're just kind of re-emphasizing it, and it's just like, all right.
Yeah, I felt that way just about the show in general. Like, once you understand that it's about Mob's growth and that there's never really gonna be sort of like a real like saga narrative, that's why when I didn't finish, I was like, I think I would be very surprised if my opinion of the show changed just based on the end, because it doesn't seem like that kind of show. But
what did you think, Az?
I'm actually trying to. It's definitely not on the same level as what I've given a 9, so I think I'm gonna give it an 8. But it's like a higher 8 for me, but it's still an 8.
Is that for both seasons?
Yeah, I think of it as one whole. Like, I can't really think of the two as separate because they sort of feed into each other perfectly.
Yeah, because there's no real arc. Like, there's short arcs, so it's like one thing.
I was struggling to rate them both because they did feel very similar. I just think overall I enjoyed season 7 a little bit less than season 8. So that's why I gave it. I mean season 2, but I gave it a 7 because I thought it wasn't slightly as good.
I was thinking about what Tim said. I think that I do miss sort of seeing the little percentage counter more in season 2, but it makes sense because he's grown so much in like dealing with his emotions. And yeah, we've seen enough of that gimmick, but I enjoyed that gimmick, so it's like
in season 2, he only explodes when he thinks his family is dead, right?
Yeah.
and that was like the only time he does that. But even after that, he gets calmed back down. You don't really see anything happen.
The one thing I hate about shonen is every time there's something like really awful that happens in this type of shonen, they always backtrack it. Someone will appear to have died, and then they'll make a comment like a scene later and say, "Oh, he's recovering in the hospital" or whatever. So they try to fake these things so that they get the impact of like a lasting like thing happening, like a death, but then they just rip it right out from under you and they're like, "He's okay." And like I mean, I thought it was crazy if his family died. Like I was like, "Whoa, that would be so genre defining," in the sense of like normally you meet a character and their family is already dead and like you see how that affects them, but for us to spend so much time with his family and then have them die, like that would have been so crazy, like in the genre. And then of course, like it's backwalked. Like I was like,
I think in a more serious show, I would have liked that, but I kind of like how it wasn't like that in Mob.
yeah, it just wasn't it wasn't what they were doing. I was just very intrigued by the idea of if this is where they're going, I am on board.
Yeah. Like, what a way to end that episode, too, right? I watched the second season as it was coming out. I think I watched the first season as it was coming out, too. And, like, waiting a week on that point, insanity.
Going to season 1 and season 2, all the kind of the more darker aspects of it definitely take you by surprise. Because, I mean, just looking at the show and the art style, you wouldn't take it for that kind of show. And so when they do have those, like, more serious moments, like over Ritsu's kind of, like, inner jealousy over his brother or the bullying and all that stuff, it does take you aback for a little bit at least.
Well, what similar shows would you guys recommend?
Have you heard of Haikyuu?
That's a very good show that I would recommend.
I don't think that's similar or a show.
One Punch Man.
Same people, same guy did it. Not same studio did it, but same man who invented it.
Also, like My Hero Academia, I know we say that for every shonen, but it's like a kid with powers, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with them, you know?
Yeah, like the kid who can jump really high and he's trying to figure out how to... Oh, wait, no, that's Haikyuu.
What is our,
Next show? Well, I'm glad you asked. What is our next? I forgot.
Love is war, love is war, love is war, war.
No, now it's Daddy Do.
So, we're doing Love is War Season 2.
You can follow us at The Air We Weeb on Twitter, and I think that's all we have.
No, we have an email.
Yeah, feldsquared at
No,
nowland.ca,
it's
where you
not.
too can apply for a Reagan massage. I mean,
You
a
can
raisin
also
massage.
follow me on Twitter at ALBRATCHET.
Or just follow The Air We Weeb, and he's one of the only 5 people that are followed. So, tweet at us or email us at theairweweeb@gmail.com. Timothy, what's your weeb word of the day?
Oh, a wee word. So at first I thought about doing heart, because I thought the show that's kind of like encapsulates it. It's got like a lot of heart around mob. But instead I thought, why not just go to the title, mob? It's actually a word, Mobu, which he's named after. I don't know if they say in the show, but I'm going to say it here anyways. It means background character.
What?
That's great.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's like a background character because of he like keeps to himself and doesn't have a strong personality, at least at first.
Also, he's introduced almost as a background character because Reagan is introduced like he's the real main character. That's so funny. I love that.
There's too many. This show is just.
Layers on layers.
Should we review Shrek? It's animated.
All right, I think I'm
Thanks
gonna
for
give you
watching, everyone.
some mob Donalds.
Let's all get McDonald's. And don't you forget, your life is your own.
Oh no, I'm a whore.
Well, that's not staying.
That's not
That's getting cut.
Yes, it is. That sting.